So we work with big brands, make music for brands, and it's a project by project basis. So, you know, I've been doing it 15 years and it's been great, but it's a project by project basis. And I'm 44 years old and I want to have financial freedom in 10 years. And I realized if I just keep working on these projects, I'm never going to get there. So
Okay.
I became fascinated with the whole online thing a while back, started reading everybody, started joining mastermind groups, started, buying a bunch of courses.
Okay.
And I decided to teach what I know online. So basically, I set up this thing called Making Music for Brands, the Academy.
Nice.
And the funnel is very simple. I basically try to get people to go to this webinar, which is 1 hour long.
Sure.
It's a pretty good quality webinar. Like everyone who goes there goes, oh, wow, it's impressive compared to other
Yeah.
webinars targeting musicians, because there's a lot of bullshit there. Where I'm like literally giving them the whole thing, but in a pill. Like,
Sure.
where it becomes quite obvious that you need to engage me on a longer basis, or join the academy to find out what.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially the funnel. So the ads, normally what I'm trying to do with the ads is bring people to the funnel. So I have this kind of a flagship ad, which I'm trying to put in front of people. I've set it up in a kind of a what do you call it? Dynamic creative format. That's probably a mistake because I have no idea what the hell's going on with this ad. But I think it's doing. I'll just show you the ad so you get the idea of like the yeah, approve. I'll just show you the ad so that I gotta open system preferences here. Hold on one second. Let me open this up. Mm-mm-mm. I'll show you the ad so you get the idea of the tone, because even on the creative level you might be able to offer some tips and things. So how do you make a living as a musician today? The short answer: stop trying to sell your music to people who already get it for free. You gotta think about it a different way. Ask yourself, who is still spending big money on music today? The answer: brands. Brands spend billions trying to get your attention through campaigns, through commercials, through content, all of which needs music. And who do you think makes that music? It's musicians just like you, scattered all over the world, working right from their home studio, getting paid to make music for brands. How do I know? I'm Tommy Z. I'm a music producer who delivers music to some of the biggest brands in the world. Brands like Nike, Google, Adidas, Heineken, way too many others to mention. And along the way, I've shown other talented musicians how to break into my business. If you're serious about making a living with music today, I invite you to my free 1 hour training where I will show you how me and countless other musicians are making a living, making music for brands, and what you need to do to break in. A lot of musicians have told me that they never knew about this world, and this training has opened their eyes to new possibilities. So make sure you don't miss it. All right? I'm Tommy Z. I'll see you on the inside. So I feel like that's quite an effective invitation to the webinar. It's been working pretty well. And that's sort of the main thing that I've been trying to put in front of people. I've also experimented with another thing, which was like a long form copy ad, which also ended up doing quite well as far as sales are concerned. It was a ridiculously long spot or ad. I think it's long as hell. You can see, I mean, you can't even see
Oh,
how long.
wow.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
crazy long. But if you look at the stats, even though like a lot of people even in the comments said, dude, are you nuts? Like, who the hell's going to read that? If you look at the, if I can find this damn thing, if you look at the lifetime stats, let me see, of sales. Why don't I see this? Say, oh, purchases. Here we go. Yeah. Long form. Yeah. Like, I mean, compared to the video ad, like to get 18 purchases, and the masterclass I'm selling on the webinar for $500. I think the price should be more. I'm probably going to raise the price this month, but it's currently $500. Yeah. So those two forms are generally, so the first thing is that video that you saw. That's one. Another is the long form. And then the third thing that I've been doing recently is buying video views to like really long content where I actually teach people stuff. So I show people, here's how I scored a Mitsubishi commercial. And it's an hour and a half long, and I'm sending them to a Facebook video. And, you know, a small percentage of people watch that. And actually when they, when they eventually purchase, they go, yeah, I looked you up. And when I saw that you're a legit guy, you're teaching, I decided to enroll. So yeah, man. You know, I'm open to your suggestions on how to systemize structure. As you can see, even my campaigns are a mess. Like, I'd love to just log in and see like maybe 3 things, like cold, maybe lookalike, maybe retarget, you know, but it's all like kind of ad hoc right now. And that's because I don't have like a higher big picture system or structure. And that's something that I really want to do. I believe the product's been verified. The webinar has been verified. I do believe there's a product fit. I have a good reputation. The people who joined the masterclass, we have 400 students, I think now, are raving about it. So I feel like I'm severely like sabotaging the potential of this business by doing this myself. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there are things we can do. So that's the scoop. You have questions, you can tell me. You can
Totally.
tell.
Yeah, that's good. That's a lot of good insight, Tommy. I think you explained it very well. You gave me the full picture. You did it in a very concise way to help me really understand. I see big picture. I see opportunities right now already. With you wanting the system and process, did you get a chance to see our program and like how our like masterclass works as well? Because like we break down in there the actual setup and everything as well, and then like we'd be able to do weekly calls too.
I took a quick glance at it. The thing with master classes for me is I really try not to commit to master classes because of the time that will be necessary for me then to like get the most out of it. Do you see what I mean? So I'd rather actually engage someone on a regular basis.
Yeah. So like that's where the difference comes for us, because like with that, what you'd be able to see is just real quick here. We just go, oh, sorry, there's a delayed. I misspelled my own name. Cool. So have you been to this page before?
Yeah, I saw it this morning.
Okay, yeah. So essentially like here, like rather than just like going through the modules and stuff that you normally have, you'd actually be able to do 104 group coaching calls. So like that's Monday and Wednesday every week. So like as we go through on this call and set up the structure of your campaigns, what you can end up doing is being able to join every Monday and Wednesday each week, and us continue working on everything we accomplished on today's call. With the actual long form copy, just looking at this, I pulled in your costs and your ROAS. I mean, that was your highest return on ad spend, considering the amount of purchases. Yes, that's higher, but I mean, it's not nearly as many as this one. And this cost is a lot lower. So like, yeah, you're definitely getting better results here. And what you could do is you could bring this long form one back and focus it only on the retargeting, because what your video is it's really more of a awareness engagement type offer that's really getting a lot of people to click through, lots of people to move forward. But those people necessarily aren't converting. Your long form copy is where you're making that human connection, and probably you're like really describing the full story and how it all works. And that's probably what's really getting people to like say, hey, okay, this is what I need, which that's obviously being clearly demonstrated here because of the amount of time you spent writing that copy. So it's obvious where that value came from. So I say we combine both worlds together. And that way it can be a little bit more fluid, and you can have both the top of the funnel that's working really well in the bottom of it, with this being the focus.
Targeting.
Yeah, totally. Retargeting, and the other one just being going after new individuals for your acquisition of driving in the actual like pipeline here, which is what you have set up. So like, is this that video you have?
Yeah, that's the video. Yeah.
So like 37 cost per visited training. And then if we go down to your long form, even your long form was achieving a good cost per visited in most cases. Yeah, even that was doing good. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Point, but the
Okay.
best performing stuff was probably, as you can see, the lookalike campaign. So my email list, lookalike based on my email list, and purchasers that did really well. And that was, again, the video.
Any reason you ever decided to turn off your long form?
Well, it just stopped performing at a certain point. But
Oh, it's been running for a long time.
the idea would be to probably expose it to new audiences. And that's another question that I have, like, you know,
Oof.
what are some of the ways of finding audiences? Well, what are you seeing?
Now right here, your auction competition has just been rising and rising and rising and rising and rising. I mean, look from where you started. I mean, it was like you were negative 42. Now you're positive 42, 47.
What does that mean? That means that other people are bidding for
Same audience.
same audience.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what we can do. Right now, what do you have going on here for this month?
I have two.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you have really good CPMs and costs and stuff right now. So we want to get more purchases for sure, because you only have one right now. So what we can do is we can start consolidating some of these things and focusing in on restructuring the campaigns to be a little bit more fluid. Because like right now, if we look at some of these, just opening them up and pulling open the inspect, you can just check a few. You're overlapping in auction competition, and you have auction overlap happening. So that's one thing we can get rid of, which will help improve your performance just straight out the chute. And then, I mean, we could pull open another one if we wanted to. Inspect. Yeah, and your auction competition is starting to rise a little bit. It's not too significant, this one here, but it's still going up, obviously. Cool. So let's look at this audience here.
So that's my first sort of audience, which I started with, and which has been going for a while and done pretty well. And the assumption behind this audience is basically like any musician who knows what a DAW is, so digital audio workstation, so the program which they actually use to make music, just like a Photoshop for a designer. So if they have that as a part of their interest, I'm assuming that there's somebody who's actually, you know, creating music. So that's been a pretty fair assumption, and that's been working. But I need to probably find new audiences. And yeah, you know, it's like, it's kind of overwhelming. It's like, oh, where do you start? And oh, I should focus on lookalikes first because they're more likely to convert. But at the same time, I also feel like I haven't tapped the potential of cold audiences yet. So
yeah. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll create a new campaign to start this process. We'll just duplicate this audience, and we'll go ahead and do new campaign. We'll title it non-CBO to start, just to see, and then lookalikes. And then we'll just hit duplicate. and we'll restructure this so that way it's a little bit more fluid, and that way you're dealing with a lot less and only are able to focus on one thing. So this audience here is one. Have you always done this many countries?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
because my assumption was that the algorithm will perform better, like the more I throw at it. But you know, I don't know if that's an accurate sort of.
Yeah. And then if you want to type in your purchases here, like exclude purchases.
Yeah. Let me see.
So you'll exclude the purchases because they've already purchased clearly.
Yeah. Probably this one will be purchases in 180.
Nice. And then
Do you leave detailed targeting expansion on?
not typically for lookalikes. For interest, yes.
Yeah.
We do, but for lookalikes, no, we don't want to. We don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we just deselect that, and now what we're going to do is we're going to leave that in draft, and we'll hit don't show this again because it's just essentially saying like, do you want to leave your changes as draft? And we do, so we're just going to hit close. We don't want to publish them. And then we're going to pull open another audience. So this one's engaged shoppers. That's the one with your purchase. We won't touch the one with the purchase right now. That's your retargeting. How I score to purchases. So what's this one?
Only one purchase. There's been more purchases this month.
We could look into it. So how I score a purchase or look like, let's see here. And another thing is, before we start stacking these, it's best to like, I would do it based off the number of purchases, like the purchases you're getting out of these audiences.
Yeah.
So you've gotten one here before.
Yeah, because that's a long video. That's like an hour and a half long video.
This one?
Yeah, on Facebook. It's
It
literally
has a
like
0.1% click-through rate. You know, honestly, I would cut this one even though it has a purchase.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, that's how I like to think. I want things as simple as possible. Like whatever's bringing in money. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to just focus on what works, and that's what we're gonna do here. And then
the thing is, the big numbers that you see on their purchases are things that sort of ran the course, and I turned them off because they were no longer, the purchases were no longer happening.
What is this?
This
exactly?
is the film that you saw, the 1-minute invitation to the webinar to purchasers lookalike.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. And you turn that one off. Okay, that's fine. So, I mean, but you're running it again here, right?
Yeah, I duplicated it to lower the cost. That's what down to 75 is. I don't know. I heard somewhere that if you lower the budget on the ad set, then that's no good for the thing. But I don't know if that's true. So I just duplicate and then bring it down when I see it kind of dwindling.
Okay, some purchases in the last 30 days. I mean, like pretty recently, it's still working. Oh, I see. It's decreasing to some degree, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just giving
Yeah,
out
because I
less
track every day. Like I put numbers in a spreadsheet every day to track costs and CTR, and it's just like a daily habit for me to do it. But yeah.
So what we can do is also check like what your frequencies were. They're at 2.45. So you reach this audience. Okay, so is this a 1%? Yeah, it's a 1% audience. So instead of what we'll do next is we're going to turn this one off too, okay? Just to make this easier. Instead of doing a 1%, we're just going to go higher on the percentages because clearly that audience works. But the thing is, you're maxing out that audience. You're essentially lapping that audience too frequently throughout the month. So like you're getting these down periods where you're just like you've maxed it out. Like you got all the purchases and you're waiting on more sales to come through. And then as soon as those more sales come through, then the audience finally updates and then you get a few more. So essentially you're just like, you're jumping the gun on that audience too much. So we'll cut it and then we're just going to build out the larger percentage. So that way it's a lot larger of an audience size because we do know it works. And that way you'll be able to scale further and actually capture a lot more sales.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll cut this one all together. I just want to make sure that's the correct one we're selecting. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one.
And we'll do it this way, turn off. And then we'll hit save to draft because that's this way we don't actually turn it off until we're officially going to publish the other one.
Yeah, okay.
And then we'll go into this campaign to keep it even simpler. We'll edit and we're going to add in that exact audience of, you said it's 180-day purchases.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a few different lists for purchases. 30 days. Keep
You want to
scrolling.
find it?
Yeah, let me find it. Yeah, let's go with this one. And then higher percentage, right?
Yeah.
And what would that be? 2, 3, 4?
We can go up to 3.
Yeah.
And then we'll go ahead and create this audience.
And you have to X out the 1%, I guess.
No, we're simplifying your structure.
Okay.
We're going to consolidate these because you already know they have been proven to work. So we're expanding your audience size so that way you're having less overlap. And then this one here. What is this one specifically?
So this one I started recently, maybe yesterday, a couple of days ago, in my effort to find new audiences. A straight invite, again, that 1-minute video, to performing rights societies. So like BMI, ASCAP, SOCAN in the US and Canada. So what musicians would normally sign up for to collect royalties. So just trying to find new audiences. Yeah.
And this one?
And this one is, these are the softwares that musicians use. This has been my bread and butter, basically, like just listing all the major software that musicians are familiar with.
Okay. This one here.
This is, yeah, purchasers lookalike 2% plus targeting expansion enabled. I just started that recently.
Okay, perfect. So we already have that one essentially in the other one because we did a 3%. So it's going to encompass this as well.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and turn this one off. Save to draft. Turn that off. Save to draft. Then we'll go ahead and this one is that lookalike that was getting the purchases. No, what is this one?
What's the campaign again?
This one here.
Yeah, some kind of a lookalike campaign. So somebody that was helping me with it. Oh yeah, it's 1% based on the email list. No customers, no webinar attendees. So it's 1% lookalike of my email list. I don't think that's ever gotten a purchase, by the way, this one. So
23.
Oh, it did. Okay. So I'm thinking of a different one. Okay. But generally speaking,
Let's see though.
Yeah.
Which one is it that you use?
I use main MMB. But that's also a question to you. Are these columns the things that I should be looking at? Like, is there any other metrics that I should put in my custom view or?
No, these are fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is this audience here?
This is lookalike email list. My email list as of April of this year. For some reason, that was doing really well compared to like updated email list later on. So just by sales alone, that lookalike audience did really well. The subsequent lookalikes based on my email list, like a few months later, were not doing as well. But yeah, it started probably high as far as budget, and then I just kept lowering it when it's.
Is there a way you can pull that audience in here?
Yeah, probably. Lookalike. Why doesn't it show up? Let's see. Lookalike. 1704. This is lookalike 1%. I think that will be this one.
Okay.
No, that's webinar attendees. Sorry, I need to find email list. 20. Customers, website visitors. This is the later one. This is the later. That's probably the closest, this one, April of 2020. Then we get this pop-up.
Go ahead and remove it. So that one won't be able to be added in specifically because.
Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes I get that. And sometimes it works. Like, I don't know if it's like, I remember with purchasers, I had that issue. It was saying not enough, but then after a few tries, I was actually able to get it.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn this one off too.
But what's the sort of like bigger philosophy as far as the structure? Is it that we start with lookalike audiences? That's kind of the lowest hanging fruit.
No,
No,
retargeting is. Your retargeting is so severely crippled right now. It's sickening. You're missing out on a lot of sales here. But what we're doing is fixing all this extra weight you have being left around that's kind of overlapping between each other, and just going to put it all under one single roof. And that way, we're looking at two sets: one lookalike and then one retargeting structure.
Yeah.
So that way we can get all this really consolidated down.
Yeah.
You said you just recently launched this one here. Oh yeah, that's right.
Performing rights. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is so we'll leave that there, and then your other one is this one, and this one is okay. I got it. So this one you just recently launched, and what we're going to do is we're just going to move this one by duplicating it and moving it under the existing campaign of the you know what that other campaign was called, the one where the performance one was under?
Let me see. Let me call. I think I named it something like that. Called this one. Called straight invite to performing rights.
1 second. I have a. Here's what we can do. Yeah, it's the engaged one. So we'll just do this. We're just going to rename this real quick. NCVO interest. Save that, and then we'll actually publish this here. So that way it updates, and then we'll go ahead and come into this one and duplicate it into that so it's easier to find.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
See where we're going with this?
Yeah. So we basically have cleaned up lookalikes and interests, or that's where we're going.
Yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah. So now
this is retargeting. So whoever watched that long ass video, 90 minutes, gets a straight invite. 10 seconds.
okay, so now we're going to publish all of this. And you don't have that long form copy running in any of these anymore?
No, but I'm open to doing it again, you know?
When was the last time you turned it off?
It's probably been a while now. I mean, I can't be sure, but a couple of months.
Okay. I wouldn't reactivate one that's a couple months old. I'd just write a new one with new content.
Okay.
And then just publish it into your retargeting.
So
okay.
Use retargeting. Okay.
So now we're down to these three. And what we'll do now is you have both of these in here. Okay. And we'll go ahead and double check where your budget's located right now. And what we can do is just flip this to CBO to let it decide which campaign to put the spin into. We eliminated all the overlap in your campaigns, or at least most of it. And we structured it to interest only and then lookalikes only. So that way you can see the comparison between how do lookalikes perform against interest on the actual result level.
Yep.
And then simplified your retargeting. So that way it's all structured into 3 different buckets. You essentially had like 9 before. And then we'll just switch this over to CBO as well.
I was just creating, yeah, it wasn't sorted at all.
And then, okay, no. And then we'll publish this and switch it to CBO as well. And how much were you spending prior to this on any given day?
Lately, it's been about 225. So I actually have like a spreadsheet that I've been running for the last 3 months where I document daily like what's happening, and I have monthly totals if you want to see the big picture of Facebook spend and result. And I only track new purchases. So like some people buy an installment plan, but I would not calculate that into the sales, only new sales. Like,
okay.
So I mean, I'm the product costs I make 486. I think. I think 200 is it's a lot, but like I'd spend 1,000 a day, man, if I was getting sales. I don't care, it's sky's the limit for me. But it's just a matter of having somebody show you how to optimize things, so I've probably wasted money on Facebook.
Yeah. And then this right here is taking them which page?
This is straight invite to 10-second how I score views. So this will take them to the webinar registration page. To those who watched 10 seconds of actual like seminar, longer video, they will get a straight invite to the webinar sign up page.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about people who haven't registered?
Well, that's what I'm hoping to grab, right? So like, if people saw how I score.
Oh, so this is for people who haven't registered for the webinar.
Yeah, if you watched how I score a car commercial for 10 seconds, which is just content, good content, then they get served the webinar invite.
Okay. Where exactly is this review and publish happening?
There's probably like, errors from the past that might be happening. Because, I published these things as dynamic creative. So it's like a shitload of, 5 different headlines, 5 different descriptions. Then Facebook started coming up with their own thumbnails.
Totally.
So I don't know. That's probably a mistake, I gather. I don't know. It should probably be like more controllable, the creative.
Yeah. I wouldn't do dynamic, but specifically here,
Yep.
Now that you have these all structured, with the visited offers, where is that? How do people get to that page?
The offer is in a webinar, ever webinar. There's a pop-up link in the 50th minute. And then, yeah, they click on that and they either buy or they don't.
Okay. After 50 minutes?
Yeah, it's actually, yeah, around 50 minutes. The offer pops up from 47th minute or so until the end.
Okay. Can you show me this visited webinar offer page?
Yeah.
Because what we could do is retarget any individual who watched 50 minutes but didn't visit the offer page.
Yeah, so this will be it. I think it will kick me out because I have deadline funnel here. Oh no, it didn't kick me out. Yeah, so this is what they will see on the webinar. That's where it will take them. And then deadline funnels here, because I have a 5-day email sequence that says, hurry up and grab this at 30% off, right? So this is where, yeah.
Got it. Okay. You should retarget individuals to bring them to this page.
Okay, so retarget people like webinar attendees to bring them here.
Yeah, just like how you have your email.
Yeah.
For those 5 days.
Yeah.
Anybody who registered within the last 5 days, or your who made it to this page. Anybody who made it to this page within the last 5 days, they'll be retargeted to be brought back here, just how your email list would be.
Okay. So anyone who saw the webinar offer for the last 5 days?
Okay. Yeah. Same as your email list.
Offer.
So that way you're doubling up on it.
Yeah. Okay. So the way I would set it up is create a custom list, 5 days, so webinar offer, and then what kind of creative would it be? I guess testimonials.
Do you have a creative that you use in your email?
I share some of the lessons from the masterclass, basically.
So yeah, it'd just be the same thing in the email.
Okay. So that would be retarget. And because they're not like huge numbers that will actually visit this webinar offer, it's like roughly 20% of the webinar audience that will reach this stage, 16 to 20%. And I roughly have about, 60 to 80 people going through the webinar every day. So it's like, 15 people will see it a day. How does that work as far as budget and frequency and all that?
You just keep the budget low.
Okay. Like how low?
Depending on how many people are in the audience size. I mean, if it's going to be, I imagine anywhere between 100 to 300. So I mean, like $5 to $10 daily would be fine.
Okay.
Cool. And then what you can do next is, now that we have these running, you still only have this one creative here. Okay. Yeah, so this should be able to exit learning with you being able to get 50 registrants within the week, which will really help. And then with getting people to complete these like final stages here, do most of the people complete the purchase whenever they go through the entire funnel? Or do they get recovered via email?
Yeah, that's hard for me to say, I probably need to tighten up the reporting. Because I'm not sure exactly like when they buy, if it's straight from seeing the webinar or after receiving the emails.
Okay, what CRM or email software are you using?
ConvertKit.
Okay. Got it.
And I have, I mean, yeah, it probably needs to be tightened up, the whole reporting. Like, I had an agency that was, promising all sorts of stuff with UTM codes and things like that, but it's just sort of fizzled, and I don't know, they haven't actually done what they were supposed to do. So, but getting that under control is probably one of my priorities, Yeah, you see, they set up some UTM codes here for, wow,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. So I mean, like, essentially, you'll want to have that long form copy in your retargeting. You'll want
Yep.
to build out larger percentage lookalikes that are working. If you decide to add in another audience, you can just duplicate and have it under the same CBO. That's fine. Just make sure it's a larger percentage, so that way you have a lot more to target.
Mm-hmm.
And then for your interest, just keep it under the same campaign and just do your ad sets here. If you're going to do big buckets like this, that's fine. Just
And what would you suggest as far as like finding new audiences? Like, what are some of the low hanging fruits? Maybe like, competition.
yeah, so that's going to come down to your events manager, which would be here. So being able to tap into data, a lot more data.
Yeah.
Let's look. So like you have this many events, which isn't a lot. You could be adding a lot more events than just this. Like you could have an event fire off after somebody watched the webinar for 47 minutes. You could have an event fire off for somebody who watched it 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes.
Is that possible with EverWebinar? I find they're pretty limited.
So is it on your website?
No, it goes to EverWebinar.
Okay. Can you embed it? So you're missing out on a huge amount of data just having it go to a third-party platform.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Like
And
for
then
instance, like right here, like let me just pull this. Where's your page? Is this it?
yeah.
Is this, yeah, okay. I have no idea what all those are, but
These are like a platform for Facebook called Connect.io. I don't know if you heard of it. This guy Wilco the Cry, who has this platform that basically helps you to develop new audiences, and then he has this retargeting app which installs like a super pixel that tracks a lot more information about the website. But I haven't really used it, so yet.
yeah, it doesn't really look like it's here at all.
Yeah.
You're not using it right now, or
Not
this is
using it
it?
right Not using it right now. So yeah, he basically collects a lot more events than the Facebook Pixel does, and then
Yeah, so that's what you need to do.
yeah,
You need a
yeah.
lot more events here.
Do you have any experience with webinar platforms that are effective in that this info?
No, not specifically. As long as you just can embed it on your site, that'd be really helpful.
Okay.
Right now, let's see here. If we go back to your ad set real quick. Let's just do one for an example just to see if it would be available. I just want to see if that one of those pixels you have on your site would allow you to create a specific audience. So we can just check to see, because I saw it had some form of a timer on your site. So we just go here and then do that one, which was the connect target refined by aggregated value. Okay.
Do you want to see this
page
connection?
timer? See this here? Page
Yeah.
timer.
Yeah, that's the power. Yeah, you got it.
And then you just type in whichever amount of time. So you could type in, let's do like 350. You could put in.
Yeah.
Is greater than 350, and then you could just name that as an audience, and that's going to be its own lookalike, and that's going to allow you to create a lot of different lookalikes.
Okay.
Which is very unique.
Yeah. Okay. I might actually use that tool.
Yeah, I mean, you would do all these. Page scroll, you could do it all. It's already here.
Yeah.
So like you could do is greater than 75. That's scrolled past 75%. So that's another one.
And then create lookalikes from that, right?
Yeah, and then you could do another one that's like visiting device, and then you just type in whichever it is, and then you just find this information by going here, dropping this down, opening it up, seeing what information it's sending along. This one's just a parameter for that, but yeah. So I mean, like you could pull these things in.
Okay.
And use all that data.
For lookalikes. And then for new audiences, is there sort of a framework that you use or kind of universal, principles?
Yeah, totally. Primarily, that's like all in our trainings. But essentially, what you would want to do is, I mean, like the really just right here, if you build these out and just keep them of highly qualified individuals. So, I mean, like if we wanted to really break it down, is like what you could do is instead of just like, shooting in the dark here, we could get really specific. I know we're short on time, but if we went to analytics here, and we created those audiences in here in advance just to get an idea of what the actual conversion rates were prior. We could just go ahead and do a filter. We could create a new filter, performed an event, perform that. There it is, the connect one that you had, and then the what I was just talking about, the page timer.
Yeah.
I select that, I do greater than it, and then I would just choose a value, which would be, let's just say, larger than 100. And you can see as this loads, just give it a second. 0.66 purchase conversion rate. So I mean, like we could change this and do maybe 1,000. See what happens if anything changes.
What's 1,000 seconds or?
Yeah. 2.51. So I mean, you went from a 0.66 purchase conversion rate to a 2.51. You then say for every 1,000 individuals you have come through your pipeline, you're converting, a pretty good amount of them, 25 of them are purchasing. So, I mean, that would increase your revenue substantially just by following this model, because your conversion rates are going up. And then you could just like say, okay, maybe we want to go higher than that. Like, let's just go to.
Can you just explain again what you said just now? Because I'm not sure I understood what you were saying.
So essentially, you can see what the audience conversion rate is before you create the lookalike. So we could create, if you say, if I want higher quality people converting, then just find audiences that have a higher purchase conversion rate here.
Okay. So basically what you're doing is filtering up top and it turns out that people who spend more than X amount on the page are converting here at 2.25. Okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
at a higher rate than what your average is.
Ah,
And then if we
okay.
just do like, then we can just hit create custom audience and then build our lookalike off of it.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
you can literally create audiences that have super high conversion rates and optimize towards individuals who would most likely be them to convert.
Yeah. Now, what I know you, I mean, we're